hike near a small town of Cooper Landing, which is roughly halfway between Homer and Anchorage. Just before, so going north is Anchorage, going southwest is Homer, going southeast is Seward. And this is the little place. And practically nobody is doing this hike. And it's a very steep hike, 900 meters, 2,700 feet. 2,700 feet up in a distance of 3.5 miles. And that is super steep. And it's such a nice day. So we'll see what the scenery is like on the top. This ridge is called Slaughter Ridge. It's one of the steepest I've ever done. Super steep. And probably halfway up. Still is so steep. Going down could be a little bit difficult. This is about 1/3 to the end and about over half in elevation change. So the steepest section is behind me now, and going forward it should be a little easier. But look at the flowers, so beautiful. This is one of the steepest ridge I've ever climbed. This ridge on both sides is a several thousand feet drop. It's on both sides. It's like the Half Dome or something. It's really, really steep. Oh man. This section a little easier. Now I have to go down this ridge, then going up that ridge again, the last 1,000 meters to the end of the trail. Last 1,000 meters, the end of the trail is probably where that snow or a little bit further out. But this is another descent and then come back steep up. I'm already about 2,400 feet up from the road. Just to soak in the scenery at the end of Slaughter Ridge Trail, which is about 3,200 feet up elevation right now. The head of the trail is about 300 feet. At the edge of the water, which is net elevation change is about 2,800 feet up. distance is about 5.4 kilometers or 3.5 miles. But just soak in this scenery. Look at this. Spectacular. Just spectacular. Snow peaks all over. The vegetation on the top are just a very small vegetation. They're tundras or something. They look very fragile, very thin. I guess the growing season for this vegetation is probably only a couple of months in a year. So from where I stand at 3,200, these peaks in the distance are probably close to 10,000 because they're way up above me. Okay, it took me, let me see the watch. It took me almost 4 hours to get up here because I'm trying to enjoy the scenery. At the same time, the hike is really tough. But almost 4 hours. So I think it will take probably 3 hours to get back down, maybe less. It took me actually not 4 hours. It took me about 3.5, just over 3.5 hours. So it will take probably another 3 hours to go down. So near the top, the trail is really nice because the vegetation is very soft on the foot, with a lot of volcanic rocks. These dark rocks, these are volcanic rocks, it looks like. And but then the trail is not a single climb, so I have to descend quite a bit in front of this peak and then come back up another smaller peak, then begin the really steep descent on a ridge with deep sharp cliffs on both sides. So it's kind of a dizzy looking down. So when I descend or ascend, I just have to focus on what's under my feet instead of looking in the distance or looking down, because looking down just makes me dizzy because it's really steep. Reminds me of the Half Dome hike. Half Dome hike, the ridge and the last 200 feet. That was steep, bare rock. That was just dizzying climb. It has those ropes. This is almost like that, except that it's not as they are not bare rocks, so they don't look as dizzy, but still it's pretty dizzy if you look on both sides. Just look at this scenery. Going down there. The reason these rivers are turquoise green is because they are filled with glacial silt, like I mentioned before. So this kind of water, I imagine they would not have a lot of fish, but when I drive along the water, I've seen quite a few people in fishing boats and fishing rods and running from places to places. So I figured there must be some fish in this water. But this is glacial water, so it's fresh water. certainly not salt water. This place is quite a ways from the ocean anyway, so the elevation, the water's elevation is probably about 150 feet above sea level, according to my topo map. But that's it. This water is fresh water, and upstream to the right of the video is upstream. I think it's upstream. The water is pretty fast, and this is more like a wider, bigger body, so the water flows slower. But still, it's just so gorgeous. This is so gorgeous. So now I'm down a very steep descent. I have to descend all the way to the bottom and then come way back up that peak on the left. So this is a steep descent. I have to put away my video equipment, so just to be careful, because it's really steep. From here on, the trail is going to hug on the edge of a cliff. The cliff drops from here all the way to that road. That's about 2,500, 2,400. So I'm on this side of the cliff. But if I don't look down from the cliff, the trail is okay. If you do look down on either side, on the other side is also a very sharp drop. It's really dizzy. So for people with even a mild vertigo, this could be a real challenge. Fortunately, I don't have vertigo, so I should be fine. Whoa. Just can't get enough of this scenery, because on roadside, at ground level, you don't see this kind of scenery. You see the peaks as far as the eye can see all over you. And I see a couple of small airplanes flying underneath, under my level. It's quite windy here as well, quite windy, because this is a cliff. The wind blows from the direction of those snow peaks straight across the water and into the cliff, and then it blows up, so I can feel it. In the water, you can see a couple of small boats, small canoes. Some people are fishing, and this little river go all the way for hundreds of miles as far as I see. There's another body of water way out there. Along this trail, the end elevation is 3,200. However, I have to pass several peaks, and there is one huge descent, and then come right back. That descent is probably 450 feet. So I have to do that along with a couple of smaller descents. So the total elevation I have to climb, net elevation, I think is definitely way more than 2,800. It's more like add another 400, add another 800, because I have to descend, come back, and then on my return I have to descend, come back. So at this point on, it's mostly descent. Before this point is, first is just going up, and then a huge descent, and then then another huge climb. So I'm already over that. That's a big V-shaped elevation change. But from now on, I'm more like going down. So the net elevation change, the net amount of elevation I have to climb is 2,800, 2,700 plus 800, 3,500 feet. That's about just over 1,100 meters I have to do. So to put things in perspective, Mission Peak in the Bay Area, at the top is 2525. At the bottom is about 300, 350, maybe 300. So it's 2,200. So Mission Peak is 2,200. So this is about 1.5, just over 1.5 of Mission Peak. But it is over a distance. Mission Peak is about 3.8 miles. And it's roughly about the same distance. So, and this section I'm walking right now is pretty flat, but there are certain sections that are incredibly steep. The steepest hike on Mission Peak is a child's play. I usually hike in front of the Mission Peak, where it's on the cliff side, which is the steepest, but still that's nothing compared to this. This hike on some of the steepest ascent, which is ahead of me, is incredibly steep. I would say it's almost like 40 degrees, maybe. Definitely is 30, maybe 30, 40, I don't know. It's quite steep. But this is near the top area of the first peak. So this is relatively flat between these mini false peaks. Beyond this, behind me was that big V drop, and then V back up to another much taller peak at 3,200. But so in terms of hiking, this is definitely a different exercise of the leg muscles, or exercise of the cardio. On the way up is certainly the exercise. This is a pretty steep down there. On the way up is the cardio. You just basically, your heart will beat as hard as you can, and you have to breathe really, really fast because it's so steep. But on the way down is less of a cardio, more of a leg muscle, particularly the big calf in the front. On the, I don't know the name of that muscle, the biggest muscle on the leg, upper leg. That's the part that get exercised the most. I'm pretty sure tonight I will have sore legs, since I haven't hiked this type of tough hike for a long time. But I used to hike Mission Peak regularly, and that to me is like a walk in the park. So if I were in that condition, this hike was not that bad, but I haven't done that for a long time. Maybe I should. Just look at the scenery on the other side of these peaks. I'm pretty sure there are, well, I'm not sure whether there are any possibilities to hike those peaks. Those peaks are way up. Those are way up, way above me. It's probably 9,000, 8,000, 9,000, it might be. But further this way, this could be 10,000 or even higher. Now I'm about to descend this ridge. A sharp drop on both sides. There is a ridge I have to descend. It is pretty sharp on both sides, and it's pretty steep, and it's pretty dizzy. So get ready. This is not for the faint of hearts, and not for those with any level of vertigo. Because again, in video it's hard to see how this thing is dizzy. But if you really stand here, you can feel it. Really, really steep. At least I feel it that way. But it's okay. I'll be fine. Just be careful. Look at this. This is a steep drop right there. On the right is a sharp cliff. Don't look right, only look left. Whether I should take this video thing away or just hold it in my hand. I should be able to do it. No big deal. Just steady with my legs. That's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I should take it away. Okay. Now I'm on the ridge. There's a cliff right there. And there's a cliff right there. And I'm on the ridge. Looks okay. No problem. Yes. Yes. No. There's no coming back if you fall on either side, because it's probably 70 degrees either way. 70 degrees drop here, and 70 degrees drop here. There's a little trail to that little lake, but I'm not going there anymore. That doesn't look that interesting. I will just go straight back. Yes, yes, yes. Actually, it's not that bad. When I come up, it looks scary, but now it's not that bad. I'm used to the height already. It's not that bad. Just make sure I don't slip, that's all. These rocky edges are very good grip. No problem. If you see the bridge in the distance across the water, my car is right at the end of that bridge as it makes the turn. On this side of the water, there's a little cul-de-sac. I parked right there. So that's where I'm going to.
To the table. One of the lessons that Beijing may have drawn from the war in Ukraine is that the U.S. could be mistaken for being intimidated by nuclear brinksmanship, intelligence unit, and things of that nature. So very clearly, it is a lie that the Chinese people cannot build and enjoy and sustain self-government. I'm confident that eventually the Chinese people will prove me right on that point.
Actually, Matt, you also mentioned that in your book, The Boiling Mode, the 2022, the white paper, young protesters on the street, and they were accused by Beijing's leader of manipulating by the foreign forces. But those young people on the street, they argued that actually it was CCP influenced by those foreign forces, such as Marx Engels and Lenin, you know.
That's right.
So with more and more younger generation waking up in China and starting to learn the truth